Okay, picture this. You've got the absolute perfect, nuanced argument lined up, right? I mean, you've completely thought it through, the logic is totally flawless, and you are literally right on the precipice of delivering that final, crushing blow that just proves your point entirely. But right before you can even get the words out, bam, they cut you off. We are talking about the strategic art of the interruption.
So let me ask you straight up. Have you ever been bullied into silence mid-sentence? Just think back to a time where you completely lost your place just because some loudmouth kept talking over you. You know that feeling, right? Your face gets super hot, your train of thought completely derails, and suddenly you're the one looking flustered. Well, it happens to the absolute best of us, and yeah, it feels awful.
Now, society kind of conditions us to think of interrupting as just, a simple etiquette failure. Like, oh, they just have bad manners or zero social awareness. But actually, we really need to completely shift that perspective. Because in high-stakes arguments, it is a calculated, weaponized tactic. Seriously, it's basically a dark psychology trick that is specifically designed to destroy your confidence in real time.
So let's get into Section 1, the problem, the illusion of superiority.
To really understand what's actually happening when someone chronically cuts you off, you kind of have to accept a harsh reality. Manipulative debaters, they don't care about good faith. They do not care about the truth, and they definitely don't care about logic. They literally only care about winning and dominating the floor. So why exactly do they interrupt? Well, they're specifically targeting your complex ideas. Think about it. If you're explaining this nuanced point that takes, say, 3 or 4 sequential steps of reasoning to get through, your opponent knows they're in major trouble if you actually finish. So what do? They turn a difficult explanation into an impossible one by just interjecting constantly. It's happening every few seconds, aggressively shattering the foundation of your point before you can even build it.
And this whole tactic is designed to create a very specific illusion. Because of all these constant interruptions, the audience is totally tricked into thinking your opponent is some kind of forensic genius, analyzing and dismantling your argument step by step. But the reality? It's much darker. Your opponent is just aggressively suppressing your voice. They're simply refusing to let you get a word in edgeways. They're faking superiority just by sucking up all the oxygen in the room.
Which brings us to Section 2, the agitation, the race against the QED. So let's look at the actual mechanics of why this is so lethally effective at making you look terrible in front of other people. It's a race. And the worst part, you usually don't even know you're running it. When your rhythm is repeatedly broken like that, a very real physiological and psychological breakdown starts to happen. You lose your place, you start wording things clumsily, you garble your points, and ultimately, you just appear incompetent to the audience. They actually start to think you don't even understand your own argument, all because you just couldn't get a single clean sentence out without being derailed. We call this absolute state of panic from your opponent, the QED threat. Now, QED stands for quod erat demonstrandum, basically the conclusion of a proof. This threat kicks in when your opponent senses that your argument is going to actually definitively refute their position, and it triggers this desperate race to cut you off before you can reach that final, undeniable concluding proof. Listen, they aren't interrupting you because you're wrong. They're interrupting you because they're absolutely terrified that you're right. You see this constantly on those hostile interview programs. I mean, just think about the last time you watched a combative political interview on cable news. The interviewer knows they're losing the overarching point, right? So they insist on taking issue with every single microscopic step of the guest's logic. And honestly, they don't actually care about those tiny details. They just want to break your rhythm so you literally never cross the finish line. A former Harvard debate coach once pointed out that formal debate is built entirely on this one promise. When one person speaks, no one else does. Which is great, but let's be perfectly cynical for a second here. You aren't at Harvard. You're operating in the real world. You're at, chaotic Thanksgiving dinners, or highly competitive corporate boardrooms, or maybe even contentious podcast panels. And in these arenas, there are zero rules. You have to protect your own airtime.
Okay, so here is Section 3, the solution, the silence hold framework.
I'm going to equip you right now with a super concrete psychological framework to completely neutralize these aggressive interrupters. And honestly, the best part, you are going to do it without ever raising your voice or losing your cool. It builds into 3 really precise steps. Step 1 is the dead stop. Step 2 is the awkward gaze. And step 3 is exposing the tactic. And I really want to emphasize this. This relies entirely on establishing psychological dominance. You are never, ever going to try to outshout them, because trying to match their volume, it just makes you look exactly as unhinged as they are.
Okay, so for step 1, the dead stop, you must come to an absolute dead stop mid-sentence the exact second you are interrupted. Just stop talking immediately. Do not raise your voice, and whatever you do, do not try to stubbornly talk over them. You are simply going to let your opponent blurt out their loud interjection right into the empty void that you just strategically created.
Then we move right into step 2, the awkward gaze. And this hinges entirely on the number 3. You are going to maintain unbroken, totally unflustered eye contact for exactly 3 agonizing seconds after they finish speaking. Seriously, don't look down at your notes, don't sigh, just look directly at them like they're a toddler who just spilled milk all over the kitchen floor. You just let that heavy, super uncomfortable silence do all the heavy lifting for you.
And finally, in step 3, you execute what we call the frame hijack. Here, you completely stop defending your original argument. Actually, scratch that. The argument doesn't even matter right now. Instead, you calmly pivot to attacking their toxic behavior. You are literally changing the rules of the game right in front of the audience.
To pull this off, you are going to deliver this exact, incredibly powerful script. Ready? Are you interrupting me because you are terrified of the conclusion I am about to reach, or are you just incapable of letting someone finish a thought? Boom! Calling out the tactic like this instantly ruins their whole forensic genius illusion. It exposes their panicked attempt to stop your QED, and it puts them entirely on the defensive in front of everyone watching.
But what about the repeat offenders? You know the ones, the people whose egos are just so large they simply will not stop. Well, I want to give you what we call the ultimate psychological cheat code. Now, this requires you to drop into a serious, really intense register. It's fully designed to completely strip away their perceived power and essentially humiliate their strategy.
If they interrupt you again after you've already set that boundary, you simply smile politely, you lean back in your chair, and you deliver this devastating final line. I have all day. Let me know when you are done debating yourself so I can finish answering the question. Oh, man. Deploying this calmly will make the interrupter's dominance completely evaporate in real time. It signals absolute, unshakable control on your end. So I'm going to leave you with this final question to ponder. Will you let manipulators garble your logic, or will you master the wisdom to hold the floor? Look, genuine debate requires the space to listen, but it also requires the space to respond. Do not let anyone use cheap psychological tricks to silence your well-earned ideas. So I challenge you, use this framework, stand your ground, and never, ever let anyone steal your microphone.